Hey everybody, welcome to Saturday Scares with Kyle. This week we are talking about Basket Case from director Frank Henenlotter. This is a film I have a very kind of confused relationship to because I had seen Brain Damage probably like 10 years ago. Didn't really love that film.
Why not?
And ended up with the entire trilogy of Basket Case films by complete happenstance.
Well, the running joke was always as a kid he had to be brain damaged to enjoy brain damage.
Well, yeah, maybe I had to be a Basket Case to enjoy Basket Case because
right, yeah.
I tend to, the more I've watched this first film, the more I've appreciated it. I actually think one of the sequels is a little bit better, but we'll get to that one day. The film follows Dwayne Bradley, who's hit the Big Apple with only a wicker basket and a wad of cash to his name. He's got a number of doctor's appointments he's going to. We don't really know what's going on. People are wondering what's inside the basket. They all want to know what's inside the basket. And when they finally figure out, it's Belial, his twin brother, who is conjoined with him, who has a little bit of vengeance on his mind. This is a... Frank Henenlotter said that he wanted to come up with the silliest idea possible for a film to be able to make it on a shoestring budget. I think he said he was nearby, like, Madison Square Garden, kind of like looping around New York at night, and came up with the strange idea of having a conjoined brother in your basket.
Right. It's not really. It's about the size of your table that you're recording, right?
Yeah. Although I do see, like, depending on which part they're doing, the basket seems to shrink and rise. This is a micro budget horror film, and I think it's something that you've got to wrap your head around as the film starts, because you aren't looking at something with the giant budget. You're looking at something. I mean, the joke was that the wad of cash Dwayne shows up with in New York at the beginning of the film is the film's budget. And we have to make sure to protect it with everything we have. I mean, there's a scene of Dwayne running nude down the streets of New York. That was not done with a crew. That was not done with the city's permission. They just they had cleaned up the street that he was going to run on, and then put nude Dwayne running down the side of the road, and then picked him up in another van and took off. And they just filmed that over and over again. I am a person who has a background with some guerrilla filmmaking, so I very much appreciated that kind of an ideal to it. It makes the film stand on its own, makes the film do some significantly different oddities. I guess Kevin Van Hentenryck is the lead actor here, and he's really only known for working with Henenlotter. He did the 3 Basket Case films. He does have small cameo appearances in Frankenhooker and Brain Damage, which kind of creates Henenlotter's cinematic universe, because even one of those films he shows up with a basket again. So it's almost like we're just kind of getting that constant Henenlotter cinematic universe that maybe we've all wanted. Belial was created through puppetry and stop motion, and you have to almost really hand it to Henenlotter, because he was using every tool and every trick he could come up with. And yes, when he's a puppet, you can tell it's a puppet. When he's stop motion, you can tell he's stop motion. But there's a certain charm to that as well, that I think elevates the film, makes it more fun to watch. And it's nice that when he eventually got around to making those 2 sequels and completing the trilogy, that he embraced kind of that silliness and embraced that charm for those sequels, even though he had a bigger budget.
It's kind of like it's underground horror film.
Yeah. And in fact, the film had so few people working on its crew that most of the end credits are fake, because they just didn't want to have the same, like, 10 people showing up in every credit throughout the entire film.
I get it. Yeah.
Which,
you also get that it's kind of, how distasteful can you go?
Yes. The film has one scene in particular where most of the crew walked out. It was during I'm going to spoil a little bit here, but it was during the death scene of Terry Susan Smith's Sharon. It's a graphic, gross, weird scene that's also kind of reminiscent of Reanimator. So if you've seen one or you've seen the other, you're going to know what this scene is kind of going towards as it gets there. I can see why it upset people. I can understand why it was disturbing. And nowadays it's kind of become its own... It's kind of become its own, like, greater than the film's itself piece. Yeah. In fact, Henenlotter would also have that happen on another one of his films. I think Brain Damage. He had the crew walk out during a scene as well. So Henenlotter, not known for making the crew happy or the cast happy, but certainly kind of satisfying horror geeks with its intensity.
And also he gets kind of super kind of rapey.
Yeah. Well, Belial's been alone for a long time. I'm not condoning.
Right, which seems really... I don't know if this seems scandalous. It just seems so awkward because it's stop-motion puppet trying to get with a girl. Right?
Yeah, my mind always goes to what it must have been like filming that scene. Like, I know that part of the crew walked out, but literally, like, whose hand is in the puppet? Like, and, like, what are the jokes going on set that day kind of a thing?
Yeah.
I really enjoy Basket Case. It's got a great Arrow video release. You should definitely check it out. I think there's something to be said about what Henenlotter is doing on the cheap, but also the amount of work he's putting in. I mean, there are hints about twins and about doubles throughout the entire film. Actually, the film has on the wall in the background the Collinson twins, who are actually the first centerfolds in Playboy that were also twins. It's featured on the wall back there as one of like kind of the shadier parts of New York. So he definitely knew what he was hinting at, knew what he was playing with, and I think knew what he was doing. Beverly Bonner, who actually plays Casey in the film, would later reprise the role in a stage production called Casey 30 Years Later. I have not seen this thing. If you've got a video of it, let me know, because I got to check this thing out. She would later work out with Henenlotter in a number of other films. So this was a real family affair. You know, we talked about Italian horror recently. They were kind of family affairs. We're like the people that you worked with once, you'd work with over and over again. That's kind of what Henenlotter did. And I think it's what makes the film, weirdly to say, charming. So those are my thoughts on Basket Case.
It plays definitely like an underground film. Like, you should not be seeing this, and you have to watch it in some kind of basement.
Yeah. It's got that flavor to it, but at the same time, the Museum of Modern Art paid for its restoration in 2017. So even they knew, it's schlock, but it's our schlock. So those are my thoughts on Basket Case. What's your favorite Frank Henenlotter film? Let me know down below. And join us next time, too, where I'll be talking about the first film that was ever featured on Elvira's Movie Macabre. We're talking 1972's Grave of the Vampire. So join us then.